Hey, Sean Mathis here. I am the founder of Through Time Automotive Museum and creator of Automotive Museum Guide. Today I am at the garage. So I'm going to go in there and check it out and give you a quick tour.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Miller Wells. I'm the Director of Education at the Garage Auto Museum in Salina, Kansas. We have been open for a little over 2 years now. I came into this job July of 2021 to help lay the framework of some of the curation, education elements, as well as figure out how to open and start a museum. One thing that's interesting about us is anything that you'll see in this video is not owned by us. The garage does not have its own permanent collection or core group of cars. Instead, we rely on folks in and around the community to put their vehicles on loan here. We have shows that rotate out about 3 or 4 times a year. Really, the cars do more of the talking better than I do. So, what we have in the show right now, or what will be open in a couple of days, is the Fabulous 50s exhibit. So, all of these cars are stock or stock appearing 1950 to 1959. There are some day two builds in here. So, maybe something's received different set of wheels or some other things to improve drivability. Um, the core focus of this show, apart from just celebrating really how wacky and fun some of the designs and colors are to emphasize the influence of the atomic and jet ages on automobile design. There's a lot that can be said about the pop culture and the phenomenon associated with the 1950s, either things that happened at the time or nostalgia stemming from it. But for the sake of this show, because there is so much to cover during that decade, we instead wanted to focus more on just how impressive some of the design was, the brash excess that is some 50s car design. So we'll do a quick little walkthrough here. A lot of our curation, it's really easy to talk until you get blue in the face on who designed what car and uh, influence and provenance and this and that. But at the garage, we try to build the museum not only for car people, but people that have been dragged here against their will by car people, family members, my own wife and family included. So when we do the curation, rather than getting into the minutia of all the technical details and who designed what, it's more about what the specific car has done. One example is this Ford Ranch wagon here. The Ranch wagon, of course, was a two-door station wagon, kind of a economy entry level family car for folks in the early 50s. But this particular car was from Florida, was owned by a crane operator that came out here on contract to work in Kansas City. And it was purchased by a guy that owned it for, I think, 30 years before the current owner, for the price of a plane ticket back to Florida. The gentleman that drove it from Florida had no interest in driving it home. So he just wanted the money for a plane ticket from KCI to Florida. And that's how this ranch wagon here stayed in Kansas. Stories like that is sort of the thing that we want to capture with these cars. There's a few that maybe don't have an incredible amount of provenance, and in that case, that's when we focus a little more on the minutia of the history of a model or technical marvel. But in this case, folks tend to resonate more with a car that maybe they can relate to. You'll see it in vehicles that are maybe all original that have proof of use marks, little rock chips and things that tell that the car has been driven. I've seen in our exhibits in times past that folks tend to like some of the original or used cars more than the museum restored ones. Another thing that makes our auto museum unique is some of the interactives that we have here. So, scattered throughout the entire building, all 40,000 square feet of it, on top of having these phenomenal cars to read about and gawk at, we also have some hands on stuff for people of all ages to enjoy. Anything from Lego and Hot Wheels tables for really little ones or their parents. We also have virtual reality simulators that simulate painting, welding. I have really state of the art driving and racing sims, even of Mario Kart. There's a little bit of something for everyone here. And that's exactly what we wanted to capture with our museum. One thing to note that's been really unique about the garage's experience is just how crazy and auto centric, I guess you could call it, that Central Kansas is. Usually, whenever we have these shows, we try to look for cars inside of Salina as well as outside of Salina, mainly because there's so much within even just Saline County, within a 20 or 30 mile radius, that we try to make it a little bit hard and look for stuff outside of there. I mean, this 1957 Porsche Speedster, for example, that's on our turntable, this is a true blue Porsche not a Volkswagen kit like what most people are used to seeing. And this is from not even a quarter mile away from here. We've had anything from V12 Lagonda race cars to 800 horsepower Corvette drag cars that all come from Salina. So part of my job, on top of doing any of the writing, curation, kind of guiding the conversation, is trying to find stuff to bring people from outside communities. This particular show is kind of half and half. About half the cars, maybe 15 or so of them, are from inside Salina or an immediate surrounding town. Though half of these are, I've got to take a look. I know we have Canopolis, Beloit, Bennington. I've got two from Oklahoma. There's one from Texas. One car that will be here later is all the way from Canby, Indiana. And bear in mind that we don't have any stipend for helping pay for shipping or for fuel or for staying. These are people that have all brought their cars in of their own accord. And that's something that I think is really fantastic about what we do. It's just bringing folks in from these communities. Maybe they feel that their car, they're concerned that it's not museum grade. I try to smack down that idea because every car shares a story. Everything is unique, has something fun to teach or something fun to learn. So any way that we can bring something in and just get new type of person in here, someone to have fun with something, we definitely try to capture. This particular show has a lot of very rare models, stuff that I wasn't even aware was out here. This 58 Oldsmobile Holiday convertible, that's a really rare car. That's a 1 year only design. Folks are pretty familiar with a 58 Chevy from something like American Graffiti, but to find the Chrome Mobile from 58 with those rocket pod taillights is really, really interesting. There's also, we have a 55 Ford Skyliner with the acrylic tinted roof. That's one of less than 2,000, I think. There's also going to be an Austin Healey 100M, which is a factory prepped Le Mans spec Austin Healey 100. There's less than 100 of those in existence. So there's a number of cars in this show that personally I have not seen until they've rolled into our building. And then certainly there's a lot of people that may not have even known that some of these models existed to begin with. Those that may be looking for something to do this summer, our hours are, we're open Thursday through Sunday. Thursdays from 10 to 8, that's like our late night. We also have an 8-tap beer draft system, 6 beers and 2 wines on tap. That goes half price from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursdays. Friday and Saturday, we're going to be open 10 to 5. And for right now, Sundays, we're open 1 to 5. We're taking a look at extending those hours probably in June and July, just because of patron traffic. The best way to keep track of us for any changes, special programming, anything that may pop up this summer is just on our Facebook page. We're just The Garage, Salina, Kansas. I think that's the easiest way to find us. We're most active on there, posting about any special deals we're having or little reminders of when shows are rotating. Or if we're looking for cars, I'm always looking for things to have on display. I always tell people the worst thing that I can say is no. We try to announce shows 2 years out. So even if you think you have something that could be good to have on display here, you're not quite sure, you're just curious about the process, it's worth reaching out to us on social media, kind of learn a little bit more there.
that was the garage. Pretty neat. It changes every 4 months in there. So you definitely come once and then come again, check it out. If you want to see more museums like this, go to automotivemuseumguide.com.